Okay, this is Algebra 1, and this is Lesson 7. We are going to talk about when we have lots of signs, negative signs, positive signs, kind of in our questions and how to make them more simple. I have some examples here. They're from your homework, hint, hint. So my rule of thumb when you're working with negatives and positives is if you have two signs together like this, then if one is negative and one is positive, it becomes negative. So this would be -4. Your negative and your positive become -4. Okay? If they're the same sign right beside each other, then they become positive. Okay? So this right here is going to become a negative, and then two positives right here make this a +4. Okay, so now we have a +4 and a negative. These are opposite signs, so this will be a -4 coming out. Okay, here we have a -4, no parentheses or anything. We have two negative signs together. Two negatives actually become a positive. Okay, and then at the very bottom we have a negative and a negative. So these two become positive. So we've got a +4. And there's a negative outside of it right there. So a negative and a positive is a -4. And we've got this negative here still, so we're going to bring it down here. A negative and a negative together equal a positive. So you can see that they all started out a little differently with negatives and positives, and anytime that you had two negatives or two positives together, it went positive. But if you had a negative and a positive together, it went negative. This is very important. It will be very helpful as you're doing the questions. Okay, here is an example. Again, this is Lesson 7, and I'm doing number 12 in your homework. We have a +7 minus a -3 plus a -2. Okay, so I'm going to start where our signs, we've got all these extra signs, okay? So we have a +7. We have a -3. The two negatives become positive, so it becomes +3. Then we got a plus and a minus here. So the plus and the minus become minus. When you have different signs, you subtract or you keep the minus sign, okay? So then we don't really need this positive here because there's no other negatives or positives around it. And so we know that if it's a +7, we might as well just write it as 7. So then we've got this really simple question where it's just 7 plus 3 minus 2. This is 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. Super simple. Okay, so I'm going to do some questions from your practice problems. The practice problems are on page 35, about halfway down. This is one of them. We have a -3 minus -4 equals what? Okay, two negatives. This becomes a +3. Two negatives becomes a +4. We do not need this positive here because there's no other signs. And we already know that if it's a positive number, we don't need the positive sign. We just know that this is a +3. So it's just 3 plus 4, 7. Easy peasy. Okay, let me do question C on that page. -8 plus 7 minus -3 plus -5 equals. Okay, so big long question here. So negative positive 6 minus negative 8 plus 7 minus negative 3 plus negative 5. Okay, so I'm just going to start from left to right, and anytime that I have two signs, I'm going to simplify those. So negative and a positive, negative 6. Negative and a negative is a positive 8. Okay, now we've got our plus 7. Negative, negative 3 is a positive 3. And then a negative, or a positive and a negative becomes minus 5. Okay, so again, this became negative, positive, stays positive, positive, negative. Okay, now this is just like adding and subtracting. Okay, so we have a negative number and a positive number, and they're being combined. So they are different. So we subtract them. 8 minus 6 is 2. The bigger number is 8. 8 is positive, so this stays positive. So 2 plus 7 plus 3 minus 5. 2 plus 7 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, I'm going to do one more example. This is practice problem D. Again, page 35 in your books. Okay, so we've got all these brackets here, and sometimes it's easier to simplify the brackets first before you go all crazy. So we're going to look at our brackets here, and we're going to say, okay, these two are negatives, and we're going to make this a positive 4, okay? So then we come over here, and we've got a negative, negative 6, okay? That becomes a positive 6, okay? So now let's look at it as a whole again and start from left to right and see if we can simplify this just a little bit. Negative, negative 3 is a positive 3. Then we've got a minus and a plus together, so we're going to subtract that. And then we've got a positive and a positive together, so we're going to add that together, okay? Again, I don't need this. I'm going to make it disappear. We've got a 3 minus 4. We've got a positive number and a negative number. So we're going to subtract them. 4 minus 3 is 1. The bigger number is 4. The sign in front of the 4 is a negative, so it becomes negative 1 plus 6. Again, these signs are different. 6 minus 1 is 5. Because 6 is the bigger number, it's a positive. That's why the 5 stays positive. So the answer to the question is just simply 5.